Kano. TVC News, Lagos.
Well, everyone is reacting to this story. We heard from the president yesterday, who says that this is a clarion call to for the Nigeria police force, and that everything must be deployed to ensure that the suspect is actually prosecuted. We've also heard from the Lagos state government. The governor sent some delegation to the deceased residents yesterday. We're also hearing from presidential candidates who believe that it's time for some form of police reform. I'm joined this morning by Dr. Abiola Akiyode-Afolabi, human rights attorney and law lecturer at UNILAG. Good morning, and thank you for finding time to join us on the program. Moyosore Onigbanjo, the Attorney General of Lagos State, is saying that the suspect who has been arrested will be charged to court soon, and he's also saying that he will personally be leading the prosecution to show government seriousness on this. How comforting is that news, and what does it mean that the Attorney General himself will be leading the prosecution?
Well, that's quite commendable, very, very commendable, that the Attorney General is taking that giant step, and that is giving us hope that this will not be one of the cases that would go without justice being seen as done, because the concern to Nigerians has always been the impunity that goes around with cases of this nature. I'm also a lawyer, and I'm also going to ensure we all follow up, and we join also as watching the brief to see how this progresses, because it's important that this is used as a precedent, because the fact that we have not been able to find a good deterrence, it's also one of the reasons why this has continued to happen. If we look at the record of Nigeria, especially with if starting from cases of Akpo 6 and a whole lot of other things that happened during NSAS, so we see that progress has not been made in this regard, and it's important that we make that progress.
Mm-hmm. What has been your personal experience with human rights abuse cases involving the Nigeria police?
Well, it's been a very, I don't want to use the word terrible experience, because I know we have a case that has been on since 2013 and it's currently at the High Court, and there has not been any progress. We have a situation whereby the police had refused to even appear in court, despite the fact that the court had issued several warning orders, to the police, and the police kept saying that they have no case to answer. And of course, so the victim has been there in court, thinking that justice will be done. And so we have this kind of cases, and this is one of the classic cases. And that's also the case that happened about, 2 weeks ago. So we can't continue to allow this to happen in a country where there is supposedly to be law and order. Police is there to protect the people, and not, to continue to violate the right to life of people. Look at the case of Bolanle, a right to family life. The woman is pregnant, she has a husband. Look at the trauma, so it's really, really sent chills all into our body, when you see things like this on a Christmas day, a day that people are joyous, moving from one place to another. And then you have a police who probably was, drunk and was not in his right state of mind, then just kill a very promising young woman like that. So the country must ensure that there is accountability on this issue. We have had the president had made commitment in this regard. The Lagos state government has also moved forward in this regard. So we must all ensure that this is going to put a stop, to the senseless killings that we see on daily basis. This is really so wicked. It's so bad. It really shows that we need to do more within the Nigerian police force.
So the state also did mention that you have a similar case that has dragged so long in court. Does the involvement of the Attorney General mean that this case in court, when it eventually gets to court, will enjoy some expedited action? Is there a track record to that effect?
Well, I think it's about political will. If they're interested, they'll get it done. If they're not interested, if they're not interested, it's just going to be another statement of commitment, and that's why I think that accountability
We probably will have to work on that network. Dr. Abiola Akiyode-Afolabi, human rights attorney and a law lecturer at the University of Lagos, is our guest on the first half of the show. And we're talking about the issue that surrounds that sad incident on Christmas Day in Lagos when Bolanle Raheem was shot dead by a trigger-happy police officer who we have now identified to be an assistant superintendent of police by the name Drambi Vandi. And I had spoken with the CSP yesterday, who also mentioned that this is not the first time that allegations of bribery and corruption have been brought to the police concerning this particular officer. The question right now would be, how much impact will the involvement of Mr. President, Mr. Governor, the NBA, and also other critical stakeholders have on this particular case? And what would have happened if this had happened to someone who was an ordinary Nigerian? What would have happened if this had happened to someone and the crime did not enjoy the kind of media attention that this one is getting? I recall that earlier this month, on the 6th of December, at that particular axis concerning police officers attached to Ajiwe police station in Nigeria, we're told that a 31-year-old man had also been shot dead. I spoke with the force PRO yesterday, who confirmed that investigation is also on as regards that particular case. So all hands are on deck with this one, but time will tell whether this case will indeed be expedited. Amity has called in from Abule Egba. Good morning.
After that particular case, so all hands are on deck with this one.
Well, you may have to turn down the volume of your TV. Good morning. Can you hear me? Well, we'll get back to that call subsequently. We are also looking at some very unique angles to this story. The human angle is very, very saddening. Newsman spoke with the mother of the deceased, and it was a really sad tale to have heard yesterday. Well, I'm told that Dr. Afolabi is back. Dr. Abiola, you were talking about the political will on the part of the state government if this particular case will be expedited.
Yeah. So my point is that if there is political will on the part of the state government, they would be able to follow through, especially given the fact that the president has also made commitment in this, becoming the friends of the courts, in this instance, because it's important for us to put an end to this. There has been a lot of talk about police reform, but unfortunately, we have not really seen much. Because under international law, police officers should not by arbitrarily, by any way, any means, for any reason, take anybody's life, and if that is going to happen, it's supposed to be as a last resort. And in this kind of situation, we didn't see anything that would propel, that kind of decision by the police officer. And the other instance within which the police can also do that is when it is strictly necessary to protect himself or protect anybody from imminent danger. We didn't see that situation in this regard, or when they want to de-escalate, a situation. So in all the three instances that international law allows for, use of force, that this must be used as a precedent, so that we don't then continue to have police who just kill people, recklessly, with such impunity, and nothing happens to it. And my other concern is this, about the fact that oftentimes when you have situations like this in this country, you see the police force trying to protect its own institution. This is not an affront against institutions, an individual, that have committed an offense. So, and once they have it like as that individual must be brought to book. So we are demanding accountability. So if the Lagos State government is going in this regard, the Lagos State government must also be ready to ensure that justice is seen as done. It has happened in the space of Lagos State. The Lagos State is also very clear. The criminal law of Lagos State section 222 is clear in this regard. So Lagos has all the capacity, without any form of impunity.
I hear you, Dr. Afolabi.
Yeah,
let's take a call very quickly. Mr. George has called in from Ikeja. Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Emi. Ms. Emi, what has happened is very sad. that policeman has effectively killed 3 people. I understand the lady was pregnant of twins. So if you are counting the number of people he killed, he has killed 3 people. These things keep happening here and there. It's because it has affected an elite and somebody that can, that his family can speak out. That is why we are hearing it now. I have been a constant advocate of police reformation. The police needs to be reformed, but the person that will reform the police cannot come from within the police. The corporate culture of the present police is such that it needs an external injection of somebody that will bring in a new culture, such as what happened in the customs not long ago. Those that are aspiring to be president, I hope they are listening now. Whoever comes to power this time around needs to seriously look at the reorganization and reformation of the police force. A situation where they just kill people recklessly and get away with it. Some of them will even boast, I will kill you and nothing will happen. And it does happen like that. They get away with it. You know, many poor people die in their hands and nothing happens really. And that is why they have the cause to continue to do it. Somebody who is in leadership needs to do something about our police. And it is time now to do it. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. George. Thank you for your contribution. Dr. Afolabi, the concern is what happens if this had happened to someone who didn't have connection with the NBA, a crime that did not enjoy such media attention, bearing in mind that on the 6th of December, Gafaru Brimo had also been shot in the same axis. How do we come up with a system that gives justice to all?
Well, I think it's a very important point. It's a very important point. And I also think it's all about the cover-up that we get and we see from institutions, authorities that are supposed to bring issues to the notice of people. The Apple 6 was quite a long time ago. And of course, we have seen several, in the course of our work, you know, several violation of police violence. Organizations like NOPRIN had documented a lot, you know, and Amnesty International and all of that. And I think the point that Mr. George has made, which is important, is the need that one of the things we need to do is to have a comprehensive, very holistic police reform. You know, with respect to training, I know that the IG was talking about standard operating procedure, you know, which ordinarily is supposed to help to guide, you know, what the police is expected to do. But I think it's beyond that. There's a need to do a lot of overhauling. And there's been several reports in this country that can be very useful, national conference report on police reports, white paper, and all of that. You know, the pain is that some of these reforms, even when it's been proposed, nothing has been done. So the point is also about the need for political will, you know, beyond the Nigerian police force, you know, of the government to see the police role as very critical. In countries like America, after the I cannot breathe matter, Floyd's matter, there were issues of even asking that they should cut down the budget of the police. But in Nigeria, there are issues around financing the police to be better. So I think some of these issues, we need to put them in context and we need to put them on the table so that we can have a very holistic way of addressing the reform of the police. What is the entry point? What qualification can you have, you know, before you become, you know, a police officer? What is the kind of training that you need to have to be a police who is a friend of the people? What kind of medical checks do we need to have on the police itself? Is it psychiatric tests, you know, and a whole lot of other things? This has to be comprehensive and it has to be regular and continuous. And the government must also be ready to invest in that so that the police can then become the face of the people. As we have here today, the police violence is so much that the police itself is a threat to public security. And, you know, despite all the efforts, look at the NSAS, look at the reports that came out from the NSAS. So to what extent have we gone with that? So that's why I said it's a very broad conversation. Beyond the Nigerian police force itself, the political will around it. So who is the chief security officer? So what is the chief security officer of the state doing? How are they holding people accountable? What role are they playing in this whole process? So it is something that needs much more of further discussion.
Indeed.
Yeah, a lot of this happens to people that are not a public eye, not a member of Nigerian Bar
Well, Dr.
Association.
Afolabi,
We don't get.
let me hold you for a minute. Ibrahim has called in from Abuja. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
Okay, you see, let's talk about the police reform. When we are talking about this police reform, the police have actually a lot to do. And this will have to do right from their recruitment and training. And if they don't look into their recruitment, if they don't look into their recruitment, they are definitely going to have people they bring in and would not be properly trained. And in the event of you deploying them, you see all manner of things. The rate at which police people are killing, policemen are killing innocent people is so alarming. It's so alarming. You see a policeman, the way he flings his weapon, the way he sees you coming, there's a way you don't point weapons at people, except when you see that you yourself, you are not safe as a policeman. And now, you kill someone, they say they arrest you, they take you into custody, they do some investigation, and there be it. The whole matter dies off. Anything outside that we don't hear. I think there are no stiffer penalties on those people that take innocent people's lives.
I think you made your point, Ibrahim. Now you're asking for stiffer penalties in that regard. Thank you so much for your contribution. Dr. Afolabi, we have to wrap up this segment now. You are asking for a robust police reform. You are also asking for a more proactive involvement of the chief security officers of the different states. But what would you recommend to Nigerians this morning while this reform are in the pipe works? How do you recommend that we relate with the police officer that we meet on the streets?
Well, I think it's time we realize that the police is supposed to be the protector of our security. Public security might also be the endangered, the species that can be that can endanger our lives. So it's important for us to also view them from that point of view. In Bolanle's case, there was actually no conversation even between the police and the. So meaning that it's important for us to also be careful with police, because it's actually possible that the person you are talking to, is not actually in his right sense. But it's a problem on its own. And that's why I think that it's for the Nigerian police force, to take responsibility, take speedy step to ensure that the design in the temporarily ensure that a standard of operating procedure is well known by all police force. And then there's always regular checks on who you are asking to come to the roadblock. For Nigerians, I think we are very helpless in this regard. The assumption of every Nigerian is that the police is supposed to be your friend. But unfortunately, what we see is the opposite.
Human rights attorney, lecturer of law at the University of Lagos, Dr. Abiola Akiyode-Afolabi, thank you for talking to us on the program this morning.
It's a pleasure.
All right, talking about police reforms, Nigerians will have the opportunity in some 50